You're not going to be a good cosmetic dentist unless you spend at least $80,000 to $100,000 on CE. Ask any of them. It's a lot.
Hi everyone, welcome to episode 3 of Smile with Jamie. And I'm your host, Dr. Jamie, and today I have such a special guest. Dr. Joy is in the house. Thank you so much for being here.
My absolute pleasure.
Can you just give like a brief introduction about yourself?
I'm Dr. Mikenah Joy Vega. I'm currently a practicing cosmetic dentist in the Houston area. I originally am from Boston, where I went to dental school at Tufts University School of Dental Medicine. And then I got tired of the snow and just moved to Houston on a whim. It was like Houston, Arizona, Florida, and got a job offer here. And then since then, just been building my career, and I love it here.
Is it warmer there? There's no snow in Houston? I don't know. I've never been to Texas.
It tried to snow this year, but yeah, there's no snow. It is a little chilly, but I was used to like tundras, so like this is nice.
Oh, that's really nice. So did you have family in Houston? What made you, like, it's a big move from one end to the other?
Just the context, I graduated dental school on the earlier side. Like I graduated at 25, so I was really young. I had gone to school my whole life in Boston. I come from an immigrant family who likes to keep their children close. When I finished dental school, I was just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna go somewhere. I have one aunt that lives here, but what really brought me here was the fact that I knew I didn't want to work for a corporate dental office, and I was able to find a job offer here at a private office. So then I was like, let's just go. I just moved here.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I did all my schooling in Ontario. I grew up in Ontario, and then I moved out to west side of the country. So I'm in Calgary, Alberta right now. What made you go into cosmetic dentistry, into that specialization?
It was more of a journey. When I was in dental school, I was just surviving, if I'm to be honest. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I was in dental school.
That was me.
I think a lot of young people think you have to have it all figured out, and I just think it's a beautiful time to just try it all on. And the only thing I was thinking towards was pedo, because I have a very like bubbly personality, and people are like, oh yeah, you should be a pediatric dentist, and I was like, okay, maybe. So when I got my first job out of school, it was a heavy pedo practice. After like 6 months to 8 months of doing that, I did not like it at all. And unfortunately, I had signed a 2-year contract. So after a year of just kind of being like, this is not for me, I think I like working with adults mostly, I just started looking for mentors or started networking in the Houston area with other dentists. This is such a funny story. I had a camp counselor from when I was a kid that was like, oh, my best friend from dental school lives in Houston. You need to find her. This is like on Facebook. I'm like, okay. It turns out to be Dr. Simone Ellis, who at the time is a really well-known cosmetic dentist. So I went and watched her speak, and she was like, and I was like, hey, Brett told me about you. She was like, girl, I'm about to go to Egypt. You want to come in my office for a week? I was like, okay. So I go and I cover her office, and I just fell, and she wasn't even there. I just fell in love with her staff, like the vibes, like what she had created. And then I was like, you can't get rid of me. So when she got back, I was just started being kind of stalkerish and just showing up at her office. You can ask her.
And that worked out.
And it worked out, so she finally allowed me to work for her. But then she was super intense. She's not this intense with people anymore, but she was very intense. She's like, if you want to do what I do, you got to take these CEs. You have to go to these courses. You need to buy a camera. I just did it all and just fell into the hole, became hungry to learn the craft. And that's just kind of, it just snowballed after that. So I kind of just fell into this.
Wow. Yeah, it's like divine intervention. Like you meeting Dr. Simone Ellis at the right time, and then things kind of just flowed into cosmetic dentistry. So that's really cool. It's so cool to learn everyone's unique journeys into cosmetic dentistry, and that's like the whole point of me doing this podcast, is like learning about your journey. I heard that there's only 3% of the dentist is like black in the States. And then like I don't even know how many people will do like cosmetic dentistry dentistry. Does Dr. Simone Ellis, she only does cosmetic treatments?
So right now, I mean, it's publicly known. When I was working with her, we were technically general dentists. Like maybe we were doing a couple cases a week, or like that's where a majority of our production comes from.
Yeah.
And then with general dentistry, like I still do general dentistry, don't get me wrong, but anytime you look at my week, my production column is gonna be full mouth cases with like general dentistry like intertwined in that.
So you do like root canals and extractions?
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I think in order to be really good at cosmetics, you have to have a really good foundation of everything, because most people come in asking for one thing, and what they really need is a full mouth rehab. And the less that your patient has to go other places to get things done, you're more likely to actually finish that whole treatment plan. So that's kind of where I am at now.
You're no longer working with Dr. Simone Ellis. You have your own practice, is that correct?
I don't have my own practice yet, but it's like a weird situation. Okay. It's a little different. That's why everyone's journey is their own. Dr. Ellis and I part ways about last year. And since then, I have been working as part of a group practice, privately owned. And we have 4 offices. I travel around and do cosmetic cases.
Oh, it's like a little specialization for you, you know? Oh, that's really fun. That's fun. Do you have plans to own your own office? Is that something in your picture?
I've thought about it. So one of the things that I'm really big about is my lifestyle. I really prioritize my joy, my happiness, my time, my wealth, my health being. Practice ownership is something that once you embark on, it requires a lot of you. And being that I started my career so young, I've been taking time the last like 5-6 years to really delve into the craft and really become amazing. And a lot of my money has gone towards CE. And I tell everybody, like, you're not going to be a good cosmetic dentist unless you spend at least $80,000 to $100,000 on CE. I'm sorry. Ask any of them. You can ask any of them how much money they've spent on CE. It's a lot. Some people like to juggle all of that at the same time. I have time on my side. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take the first 5 years of my career to really just dive head in. And now that I have like kind of in the point where the systems are there, I can now start thinking about, okay, now that I want to open up my practice, what is this going to be like? And open up day one, ready to go. Because that's just the type of person that I am. So I will one day, but right now I'm like in a really good spot where I can just focus on cosmetics and live a good life, and I have that balance, and I'm just really enjoying that.
That's totally fair. Like opening a clinic is like giving birth and having a child. Basically, it requires so much attention and energy that I think it's a really good thing to focus on crafting your skills. It's really hard to like juggle both at the same time. I'm sure it can be done, but it's like you got to choose your own battle.
For sure. And that's something that like it's really important for young dentists to talk to older dentists. And that's like one of the biggest thing I learned from Dr. Simone Ellis and my predecessors, that the business in the psychology of cosmetics is way bigger than the craft. When I lecture to students and tell them, I have this little lecture called, so you want to be a cosmetic dentist? The 4 main points that I always talk about are, number 1, yes, you have to be fundamentally good at dentistry, understand occlusion, blah, blah, blah. Number 2, you have to understand marketing. Marketing by itself is like taking me years to really cultivate and master and build a brand for myself. Number 3, you have to understand psychology. Because a lot of these people that are coming in for cosmetics, a lot of them have body dysmorphia. You have to be able to, they don't know how to say it, like they don't necessarily know how to communicate what they want. And so there's a lot of you reading in between the lines, trying to understand what your clients want and how to deal when they don't like something, even though you've done everything perfect. That's very hard for your own self to deal with, like your own psychology of, I know I did a good job and they still don't like it. And then photography, that by itself can take years to master.
It's just so amazing the things that you're teaching and reaching out to young dentists about, because these are the stuff that we don't get taught in dental school. right? And you really have to like learn it through experience or finding a mentor. My next question was, who were your mentors, or who are your current mentors? You know, how did you find them? Did you just like knock on the doors and find them? Yeah, what was your journey like?
Yeah, so I would definitely say Dr. Ellis was my like main mentor. But we have a really good friendship. I think what a lot of people do, they just try to like see people on the Instagram and try to like cling on to them, people that do that, or try to reach out. But I generally try to find connection points with the people and friendship and with the people that I would like to be mentored by. So one of my other big mentors is Dr. Brandon Mack. I've spent a lot of time in his office. I think his dentistry, in my own opinion, is probably the best. I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this out loud. It's one like to me, he's like one of the best like dentists, top notch in this country. I literally, the first time I went and shadowed him, he was doing a class 2 and I cried. It was just so beautiful. I was like,
wow, that means a lot. Yeah, that means a lot.
I was crying. Dr. Andy is one of my close mentors as well. I love her. I love her. I took aesthetic advantage during the pandemic. So there was normally there's like 20 to 30, maybe 50 people taking that course at the time. But during the pandemic, they had to do it in Dr. Appa's office, and there was only 6 people taking it. So I know. So I got to meet her, and then we've always stayed connected since. We're actually really good friends. Love her. Such a pioneer for women in cosmetic dentistry. So that's really one of my really good mentors. Dr. Dean Vafiatis, he runs a course called FMR. Love that course. Love him.
Is Dr. Brandon Mack in Houston?
No, he's in Tampa. So yeah.
My geography is so bad.
Oh yeah, I can really not.
Okay, somewhere in the States, yeah.
We have Instagram, and if you you can build relationships with people on Instagram and then find ways to connect with them in person, which is such a beautiful thing that we can do in modern day. I would say I'm more connected to dentists like outside of Texas than I am in my home.
I think that's city. Good. One of the beauties of taking these like in-person CE courses is that you get to connect with them. It's just nice to know like they're like-minded people, give off of that energy together and build friendships that way. So
oh, for sure. Because I think when I'm having a bad day, because of the time I've like experienced like situations going awry in other dentists' office that are like in my head, like when I watch them on Instagram, I'm like, everything must be perfect. Like all their cases must go flawless. Yeah. And realizing that their cases don't go flawless. Or even the other day, Andy and I were having a conversation. I was like, I started working in one of our new offices has windows. So my timing of my cements were like setting too fast. And she's like, girl, I just had an earthquake during my like see, you know what I mean? Like moments like that where you're just like, you know what? Like we are all, this is hard. Like cosmetics is very difficult. There's so many moving parts that we have to master. It's like being a master of a symphony, and we're not alone in that and feeling sometimes like we're drowning.
Really I guess you said investing in C is so important in order to be successful in cosmetic dentistry. Were you just kind of out of dental school and you're like, okay, I'm just going to start investing in CEs? Or how did that kind of happen, and what courses are there that you would recommend?
So my first year of dental school, year or so, I mostly did like CEs on a smaller scale. Like I think every young dentist should like master endo first, because that's a really big practice builder. I retired from molar endo. Someone tried to make me do one the other day. I was like, fine. Learning how to do endo efficiently, learning how to do extractions efficiently, and a really good composite course to start. And then once you figure out what you want to do, if I would have gotten myself on the COIS list sooner. I know you know COIS, right? Yeah. I think I have 2 more and I'm done. I started before it got really popular, but I know now there's like a wait list of like 60 some.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But that's fine if you can't go. I mean, I love COIS. I think what's happening is that young dentists are hearing about it. I think COIS is great once you've gotten to year like 2 or 3 and you've made some mistakes and you understand. I think it's too much information once you've already been there, like if you've only been practicing for a year. So I see like when I go, there's some really young dentists there. They're like falling asleep. I'm like, this is so crucial. You understand?
Yeah. Like I do not want to miss a word, but then my brain can only handle so much. Like my energy goes down, and then Dr. John Coyce is like just going up and up and up, you know?
She's like, do you understand? I'm like, that's why I always sit in the front row. I'm like a front row girl. I'm like, no, I'm here. I love Koi's. I think everyone should go to Koi's. Definitely a snob about that. I love Advantage Aesthetic. That was probably the first cosmetic course I took because you can take a patient with you. And I think it's beautiful to learn the art. They're really good about the art of cosmetics, facial analysis.
Can you explain a little bit more about that program? Because I just was looking at it before this and I was like, oh, I didn't know such thing existed.
It's a 2-weekend course in New York where the first weekend you get lectures from like Dr. Rosenthal, Dr. Appa, and other cosmetic. I think Dr. Brandon Mack is now on the faculty as well, and some other dentists. It's like a whole, like a lot of like the dads of the cosmetic dentists. They're all there. So you get lecture and they prep the teeth. So you have to bring a case with you or they can find you a case. You have to bring your own assistant. It's a lot. So you're doing a case live. People are also there to watch. So you can go as an observer and watch. It's really cool. I think if you've been out of school for less than 3 years, they give you a discount.
That's nice.
So the first weekend is prep and temp, and then the second weekend is cementation, and they have like different levels.
Oh, that's really cool. And it's all kind of porcelain veneer treatment that you learn there.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then you get access to a really good lab, which is Jason Kim in New York, which is a lab that I was using a lot to do a lot of my veneers in the beginning because they make really good putty matrix stem for you, and they really do really good wax up. So you get to use that lab to really make a nice case for your patient.
I didn't know. I'm like so new to this whole like cosmetic world. I only kind of found out about AACD a couple months ago.
AACD is a really good resources. Like they have those books that you can download to like, I use those a lot when I first started to just really get a because right now, if someone smiles at me, I can immediately like just start drawing a treatment plan of like what your smile should look like. But the AACD material is kind of like how you really start that process. I've thought about getting AACD certified, but it's a lot.
Yeah, the accreditation.
I probably could.
Yeah.
I probably could. I do a lot of cosmetics. I'm volume, so I could. But my biggest issue right now is that the aesthetics, okay, it's kind of like art. Like what is popular, say, in Texas is not necessarily popular in New York or Miami or other places of California. The aesthetic that my patients want is not what I think other demographics find attractive, especially the dental community might find attractive. And that's something I really had to free myself from, is doing my dentistry and caring about what other dentists think. Because just because my patients want OM2 and OM1 and you guys think that B1 OM3 is what is good dentistry, right? I used to get a lot of comments of people being like, why are you letting them do that? Why not?
Because they want it.
Because they want it. And like, we have to get over ourselves, because you know what happened to me? This one time I told a girl, no, I'm not giving you veneers. You don't need them. What did she go do? She went and got some veneers from some lady's basement. And what happened? I ended up having to do them anyways because they ruined her teeth. That whole experience like made me be like, okay, I know how to do this safely. Let me be the vessel for my patients to do this safely versus being like someone that says no. So in my work, there's a lot of cases that other dentists wouldn't do, but because the patient needs to have ortho or needs this or needs that. And I'm okay with saying yes, because I'm just tell the patient straight up, like, I mean, I can't make you perfect, but we can get a really good result that you will like. And I think that really what makes me different than a lot of cosmetic dentists, in addition to the fact that COIS like pushes us to be dentists that can say yes and fix things. So if you have that COIS foundation and you understand the ceramics and you understand the limitations and you also understand occlusion, you can be a really great cosmetic dentist.
That's so good. Like you kind of mentioned, as a cosmetic dentist, it's important to understand what the patients are trying to like convey, even though they don't know how to describe it perfectly in our dental language. You have your ways of practicing or providing treatment, and so how do you set their expectations, or how do you meet that expectation with your treatment outcome? Number
one, when my patients come to me, I just let them talk. I don't think you need a lot of words to connect with a patient. When patients come in, I just let them just blabber. And I really start to really understand what is making their mind tick and what is their motivation. For example, I'll have a lot of women that are older who come in and showing me photos of women in their 20s getting veneers. What that person's looking for, they're showing me teeth, but what that person's actually looking for is to look more youthful. So what does that mean in terms of cosmetics, right? That means I'm probably gonna have to open her video, give her upper lip support. So that means we can't do less than 20 units. If you only do 10, she's not gonna really get that like opening of the video. We have to make sure her canines are reestablished, have some shape again. So you can start like the more and more patients you see, they're like, I want to look like her. Then you like starts to translate it into that. Yeah. So if they go, oh, I want Hollywood style, which is everything straight across. No, ma'am, you can't get Hollywood style because that's going to look like your teeth are worn and that's not going to give you the youthful look that you want. Yeah. So that's kind of like how my brain works now.
Yeah, you can do that. I want to get there.
It's become so second nature. So cool. I don't even realize like it's like an art anymore. Like now that I'm breaking it down, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
Yeah, I love it. It's like a magical power that you have, but you worked hard for it. It doesn't just come to you.
No, I mean, it's a lot through failures. Like I've failed. I've had lots of failures. I've had to cut my own veneers off. I have a laser now to do that. Like I've had to to redo things. I mean, people who are successful, they've just failed more than you've tried. I've had to go to bed at night, like with my heart, like, oh, you know, you have to have some pretty thick skin and be very humble in this industry. If your ego isn't in check in cosmetics, like you're going to be really upset a lot of the time because people don't know.
Yeah. And people who come with cosmetic concerns, they can be picky.
Very picky. Yeah. And one of the things I do to combat that is like, you know, once you start going, making sure you're always making mock-ups, that you try in the mock-ups, you do the try and smile, you put the temps on and you ask them, tell me what you don't like open up the conversation of like, I'm expecting you to tell me things that you don't like. I'm not gonna take it personally. Not everyone does it, but I do 3 times they get to tell me in the beginning with the when they try on the mock-up, when they're in their temps, and then I show them right before I submit. Dr. Appa and friends don't like to do that, but I like to do that because with my patients it helps them mentally, and that they sign something saying that I have approved this smile makeover. I can't just come back and be like, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this. So my patients actually sign a waiver, and that has reduced the amount of like redos and pickiness.
That's good. That's really good. I like that. Like a safety. It's so nice and inspiring to have a fellow like female dentist thrive. You know, it's just so inspiring. I love it. I didn't really realize this because by the time, I don't know, when you were in dental school, the percentage of females in the class was like 50%. So I kind of forget that it was very like heavy male dominated profession at one point. I just wonder like what your experience was like being the female, being the Black person, you know, being and kind of like pioneering, you know, paving your path in cosmetic dentistry and like working your way towards success. How did that look like? I want you to like think about earlier days of your career and how you were able to like break through that. Because I read in the article that you did an interview, you talked a little bit about like overcoming imposter syndrome, and that's like a huge thing for young new grad dentists. I went through that too. So yeah.
Well, for one, luckily Houston's like a melting pot. That's one of the reasons why I love living here. It's like very diverse. So coming out, especially moving from Boston, that's not so diverse, I felt very welcome here as a practitioner. I think what at first was really threw me off was people my age. So people always like, you're so young. You look so young. Like, what are you doing here? Older people were mean.
Is this your first time doing this?
Yeah. I hate to say this. So I didn't wear my curls out for the last like 5-6 years because I didn't like it when people would think they make me look way younger than when I have like my hair down with my extensions and stuff like that. And so when I first was like practicing, especially when I started working with Dr. Ellis, and everyone would be like, who are you? You're not Dr. Ellis. Like getting really upset. I was wearing heels. I used to wear heels to work.
I saw that. I was like, whoa. I was like, wow.
I was dressed to the nines, because if I'm clacking around in heels, people respect you. They're like, oh my God, you're over here working in heels? Okay. And And luckily, like Dr. Ellis's office, when I was working there, became like a safe space because she already had clients that understood they were coming to see like Black practitioners. I really felt at home there. The issue I had there was more so that you're not her. So that took, and you know, Dr. Ellis has been practicing for a decade.
She looks
like,
so young.
I know. She started early too. I'm gonna be like her
My
one
goodness.
day. Yeah, because we're like 9 years apart. I really struggled because people expected her speed, the way her demeanor, all that stuff. And like, it was really hard stepping in her shoes or being in her shadow. But I'm kind of hard headed, and I just ran out the wall till one day her patients didn't, though it got to the point where they didn't know who they were seeing. They're like, which one of you is it? Once I left there, I recently went through a transition where the group practice that I work for now is all men. I'm the only woman dentist in the group practice.
Wow.
And I'm practicing in a very different clientele that is predominantly affluent and predominantly Caucasian. Most of my staff is Latina. We do have some issues sometimes with people being like, I want to see the other doctor who's an older Asian male because, I mean, they'll trust him more. Or people throwing fits at me or being like, I don't understand them, even though my staff speak perfect English. You know, there is an uneasiness and people not trusting me or people being like, where did you go to school? Or I still have to deal with those microaggressions, but I've come to the point where I know I'm a great dentist. I straight up tell people, like, I don't have to see you. I'm like, I don't have to see you. That stops people in their place. I get respect from that. And I'm like, because I don't have to see you.
That's bold, yeah. But that's true. Finding a dentist is like finding a therapist. Like, you need to have like a good connecting relationship. And I feel like if you don't feel it, then it's okay. I don't want to take it personally.
I'm fine. Exactly. I don't take it personally. Like, people coming, like, one guy was sizing me up one day and I was like, you know what, sir? Like, because if you study psychology, people like you to meet them where they're at. So if someone's acting crazy, I'm gonna act crazy too, and I'll stare them down.
Wow.
I meet people where they're at, and I've just learned to mirror, and then over time they soften up. It's become kind of a game to me at this point of, can I get someone to see past my age, my skin color, even like I'm a really pretty woman, so a lot of people get a little, like, older men get nervous in the chair, or they feel out of control because they have a young woman in control, and I can see that like manifest. I had a patient freak out on me the other day, and I think it had a lot to do with that. And I'm just like, it's okay. And just being sweet in those cases. And like, I have a personal phone just for patients, and giving that number out to them, even if they feel uncomfortable in the chair, knowing that they have a direct line to me has helped mitigate some of those like issues. Yeah.
Do people actually like text you and call you in that number?
Yes. A lot of people they want to feel special. And I think there's a customer service aspect of cosmetics that is sometimes ignored, that they just want to feel special. So, you know, you can hit me up anytime. They tend to really like that. And so I'm okay with that.
I guess my other question is, like, how did you build your confidence in delivering cosmetic treatment? Yeah, like building confidence and kind of breaking into your first few cases of cosmetic dentistry. So, like, do you do mostly like porcelain veneers? Do you do composite bonding? Like, what types of cosmetic treatments do you provide?
Another point in my fun presentation, so you want to be a cosmetic dentist, I love showing students my first couple of cases. So before I really started working at Dr. Ellis's office, I was working at a practice that was like in the boonies north of Houston, in the stick. And those patients, they really needed a boost in their smile. So those are easy like cases to go, right? The hardest cases is taking people who have like decent teeth and bringing them up to
perfection.
So I tell you, start with like if you just opened your eyes and just looked at every patient that came in and just being like, how can I make you better? Yes. You're going to start seeing it. Not perfect. How can I make you better? Everything I treatment plan has some cosmetic aspect to it. That's why I say just start looking for the cases with the patients you already have. I used to do a lot of Invisalign. The Invisalign and bonding, great place to start. Even just making a more aesthetic crown for patients and practicing your lab scripts and having more control over the lab communication is a good place to start, because you're already doing it. Why not make it look better? So if someone comes in, instead of asking for them to remake what they had, instead of doing 1 tooth, why don't we do 4? Like, why don't we do never 6? Don't ever do 6 teeth. I'm telling you this right now, do not ever do 6 teeth. But if someone has a
What?
problem with their front tooth, 6? Oh no, never. It looks crazy. You have this giant drop off from the canine to the like, I don't know, like so many of my so many patients come in being like, this other dentist said I need 6. I don't think so. And I am always like, I agree, because like it looks crazy. Because that turning point right here from the canine, like where it turns right there, is the hardest thing in dentistry to replicate. Canines are where your cases all, like that's where I'm always having to like redo, fix, or communicate with the lab how to make better. It's really hard for labs to make canines. So that's a tangent I just went on. But yeah, find the dentistry. If someone wants one tooth, see if we can get them, like look at their laterals. Are their laterals in shape? Are they in line? How do we make those better? I do more composite work nowadays. I took Rodri Thomas's class. I love him.
Art of Resin?
Yes, love him. I took Andy's class. I was like, I love him too. I'm going to take your class. I struggle with resin personally, so I don't do a lot of resin work, but I've been doing it lately, and I think it's a slow build. I'm not Marshall Hansen level, but like,
oh my gosh. He's the god.
But yeah, just start looking for it and suggesting it. Like this is what I think. And patients are, that's the thing. You can't be afraid to tell patients that you can make them better. I think we're so scared. They're looking for you to tell them. They want you to tell them. And like, I love be like, how do you feel about your smile? If they don't love it, I'm like, you know what I think? I think we can make this better. Like this. Bring hope into it. Not like, that's like, you know what I mean? Like make it a fun ride for them to have this hope that they could look at themselves in the mirror and feel better. And that's really what we're selling, is like confidence. This is not about the teeth. It's about this person feeling so much better about themselves that they go out into the world and they just like kick ass. Like
I saw one of your reels and like this patient crying with the temps in, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I want to be able to do that. It's like such a rewarding thing, being able to influence someone's life to that extent. And I think that's just so amazing. What made you become a dentist?
My mom, when I was a kid, was a dental assistant, and so I grew up like around like a dental office. She changed careers, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I really like theater and the arts. I really wanted to be like a theater Broadway woman. But like I said, I'm from an immigrant family. They're like, we're not paying for you to go dance around. Doctor, lawyer, engineer. Pick one. And so I was like, okay. I actually didn't think I was smart enough to become a dentist. So for high school, I went to this like really bougie private school. My mom like worked 2 jobs, like to make sure I can go, yada, yada. The sacrifice, right? And within that context, yes, my GPA wasn't the highest, but with my whole package, I should have been able to go to any school. But the college counselor was like, no, you're not smart enough. You're not going. So I was like, fine, I'm not going to college. And my mom was like, no. So she made me apply to one school with a dental hygiene program. Of course, I get into the dental hygiene program. I go to school. I'm sleeping. I'm barely studying. My GPA is a 3.8. I'm like, hold up. It was hold up. Someone lied to me. So this moment, I was just like, wow, I'm not dumb. So then I started being like, okay, like, what can I do? So I switched to pre-med, and I shadowed, I was like doctors. I was like doing cancer research. I'm a published cancer researcher. Yeah. And then I just applied to dental school there and boom, got in. Yeah. It was crazy.
Wow. What a story. That moment of like, oh, I'm not dumb. Wow.
It was insane.
Yeah.
You know, and it just made me really like, young people, like we can't ever tell young people they can't do anything. You don't know.
Like talk about squashing someone's dream so early on, you know?
Yeah. But here we are.
Aww, I love your energy. I love it. I love this. And I'm sure like this is what patients feel. I love it. I just want to like talk to you.
I mean, yeah, when you get to a point in your career where you can be the same person at home, with your friends, in the office, like that feels amazing. And what I like to think about is when you are excellent, you can be free. I know I can be myself. I can wear what I want, do what I want, be free, because I know when I go into that office, I'm giving you excellence.
So good.
I feel like when you are not necessarily there, you feel like you have to be put in this box of the doctor box. But I'm out of it because I know like it doesn't matter what I'm wearing, how I talk, yada yada, you're gonna get a great product, you're gonna get a great result. And I'm really seeing dentists right now, like I love that our industry is changing and that a lot of people are being themselves and bringing great dentistry, and those two things go hand in hand.
Yeah, I think it was, for me, it was so like freeing because I was like, oh, I'm a dentist, I gotta act a certain way, or you know, I need to like gain their respect, people don't trust me. But I think, yeah, dentist is just a profession. We help people and it's our way of helping people or doing our job. So you don't have to be so rigid. You can definitely bring your personality into it. And I think social media really has helped that world to open up as well too.
If there's anything like I want to pass on to the next generation, it's really that like my whole journey so far, I've just been super authentic, super open, just myself, because I just want young women to know that they don't have to water themselves down for their profession. You can be yourself and people will love you. And if anything, they love you more. Because like I have my patients like, oh girl, I saw you were doing this, da 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 da. Or I had a patient, I don't know, everyone knows I like to DJ. They're like, hey, can you send me some tracks or whatever, and I'll have you DJ this gig. Or like my patients will invite me out to like my networking events. And I've gotten to the point where I can go anywhere and people know me as Dr. Joy in Houston. I have a great brand. A lot of the people who do things for me, like my realtor, the person who, my mortgage lender, my trainer, my whatever, those are my patients. And it's so much fun going out. Like there's this like one like place I love to go dance. The manager got his veneers for me. The door girl has her veneers done for me. There's clients in there. So when I go there, it's just like, it's like, oh my God. And this is like in the world that I love, in a space I love to be in. And to me, I feel like an artist, and I get to just see my art everywhere. Being that I have an artist soul, like really deep down, I'm like I feel like I'm an artist. It is very gratifying and brings me fulfillment more than any other aspect.
Wow, such an inspiration. What was the lecture that you were talking about? How can people sign up for that? Is that something that you do regularly?
So it's just like a lecture I put together that I usually do for dental students at different dental schools.
You go to the schools and do the speaking?
Either that or via Zoom, and just like kind of give the students a little trajectory of my journey so far. It's hard to find dentists who've been practicing for less than 6 years. It's most of the people that are big on Instagram, they've been out for like a decade at least. So just kind of giving them a little perspective of if they want to do this, what does that mean for their future right now?
That's really good. Do you do like coaching outside of dentistry, or like, I know you do DJing as part of your side thing. Is there any other things that you do?
I work out crazy. I work out like twice a day.
Wow.
I'm really
What kind of workout?
Like lifting, running. I do a lot of HIIT workouts. I love being fit. I don't work on Mondays, so that's one of my things, is that Mondays is usually like my prep day where I get like meal prep or get the workouts and everything going.
That's good.
I volunteer a lot. Volunteering is very important to me. Part of a community service organization called Junior League that's all over the country. So I teach CPR classes to the community once a week. That's fun. And then I do some consulting. It ebbs and flows. Right now, I'm really busy in the clinic, so I let Dr. Ellis handle that. But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll try to wrap it up. I'm aware of the time. Thank you so much for spending your precious day off.
It's fine. This is fun.
I always ask this question to all of my guests here. Knowing what you know now, if you were to go back to your new grad Joy, Dr. Joy, what would you tell her?
That's a hard one. I would just say follow your intuition. Your gut and your body knows what it wants, what it needs. I feel like a lot of time we like push it aside and do what we should be doing. I just wish I just continue just to follow my intuition and be like more okay with the process. I think coming out of school, you're always like, what's next? And now I'm in a place of just like enjoying this journey that we're on and just enjoying life. And instead of just thinking about like the next milestone, I used to like stress myself out. Like I'm still a single woman. So it's like, I know I haven't had kids yet. I haven't had a husband yet and all of that. So I just feel like I was just like trying so hard to,
go.
Job, office, husband, kids, and just like, okay, chill, like one thing at a time. Dentistry is not something that is like not a milestone milestone or something that you like check off. It's just like it's a
journey.
It's a career and a journey and an ebb and flow. And I've had seasons where I've worked 2 days a week. I've had seasons where I worked 4 days a week. I've had seasons where I worked 6 days a week. It's okay to change and ebb and flow with life. And that's why we became dentists, is because of the flexibility. So just really like relish in that you can create whatever you want and make dentistry fit to it, instead of being so stuck on what dentistry should look like in your life and trying to make your life fit to that.
Yeah, that's so good. That's a really valuable thing to share. And I guess we'll end it up there. Thank you so much.
Of course, it was lovely chatting with you.